Today's video, I want to talk to you guys about something you guys have requested, and that is how I catch minnows with traps. I've done a couple videos about minnows, and it's brought a lot of feedback and a lot of requests, a lot of information. So I'm just going to kind of show you guys. So when I go trapping minnows, I use these traps. Now, if you look at this trap, it's got double ribs up top. This is the kind of trap I like. They're just way more durable, they're more tough, and they last a lot longer. The ones that don't, that just have the single, you'll see they get bent up, they get holes, they're just not near as durable. So a lot of guys, they'll go and buy these traps. Now, these will work. You'll get several years of service out of them. But if you can find these, they're going to be probably $10 higher, but they're way, way, way better. And they last. I mean, I have one over here. These things are close to 40 years old. You can see it gets bent and broke around the edge, and it still works. They're just, you can fold them over. They're just a way, way tougher trap. Now, I trap a lot, and I have for years, so I try to get the best materials that I can use for what I use. So instead of using a nylon rope, I buy the little 15-foot dog run chains. It's got a clasp on both ends, just a little lightweight chain. You find them in the pet section, and it's just basically a big long dog leash. Now, I use these instead of a rope because when I hook them onto the trap, I'm able to pull them in, and I don't ever have to worry about my rope breaking. I've had a lot of traps that get full and they get overweighted, and then when you set to pull them up out of the water, they drop and they break, and this prevents that from happening. The second reason is I carry a 5-gallon bucket with me. Now, I already dumped some water in this bucket, so I'll dump it out. But this bucket here, whenever you get to the creek where your minnows are, I want to fill up my container with their water that they're already used to. So I hook my chain on, and I can take that, I can throw that in the water and pull it up, and I can scoop water, and that chain's got all the strength in the world to hold the water. So that's the number one reason I like the chain, is they're tough, they last forever, and they don't break, and they don't tangle up. They just work good. One of these chains is going to work way better for you than anything else in the world. So now, when I catch them, what am I going to carry them in? I have this fancy little cooler made by Magellan that you can get at Academy Sports, and I hook a little bubbler on it, and when you open up the inside, the bubbler goes through it. Now, this little deal here is like 30-40 bucks, and it's worth every penny if you're doing a lot of it. If you don't want to do that, get you just a cheap cooler, drill a little hole, and run your air line through this. Now, this is just a little cheap bubbler, the little $10 one. It doesn't take a big fancy one. If you get their water and you dump it in one of these tanks, they're accustomed to it. A cooler will keep the water cool for quite a while, and you can keep these bad boys alive. I've done it for days off of this. And even in the summertime, I live in Oklahoma, sometimes it's over 100 degrees here, and this still keeps them cool with their water. And then if you live in the city where you're using a rural water supply that's got chemicals in it, you're not having to worry about that. I live in the country and have a well, so I don't have to worry about that. But this keeps fresh water that they're used to, so it keeps them alive, and it doesn't shock them near as much. It's what works best for me. Now, certain states that you live in require that you guys have your traps identified and labeled. And this is what I use on them. And it's called an Impress-O tag. And basically what it is a little metal tag, and you just take it and you write on it with a pencil, and you write your information that your state requires, and each state's different. Look up your laws, and it embosses it into these tags, and they're awesome. You can get a little box like this. There's like 100 in them, and it wasn't very much money. So these things work good. I don't know why I have 100 of them, but I do. So if you need to do that, and I would recommend doing that because if somebody comes up and tries to say that you're over limit or anything like that, it keeps you out of trouble, but it also keeps honest people honest. On that note, I have had a lot of minnow traps stolen. There are certain cultures that eat minnows like sardines on crackers. It's gross. I've seen it happen, and they will come and they'll take your traps. So you want to make sure that if you're setting traps, you stay there with your traps. Now, as far as bait for traps, I use cheese crackers. These are called cheddar cheese whales. You get them at Dollar Tree. They're basically like goldfish crackers. This is hands down the best bait that there is. These goldfish Cheez-It crackers, any kind of cheese cracker is what you're going to want. And it doesn't take a lot, and it doesn't matter if they go stale. One box will last you quite a while. So each trap, I'll put just about that much, just 10 or 12 of them. Throw them in the trap. The trap snaps together as such. and I put my clip on my trap. Now when you have your clip on your trap, you see how them kind of, they wiggle and they're loose. When that pulls up tight, it shouldn't do that. So you want to make sure that that stays tight. And then when you throw that in the water, you want to make sure that you keep your chain or your rope, whatever it is, tight pulled up so that it's not relaxed in the water and leaving a gap that they can swim out of. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Take your trap just like that, throw it in the water, and then pull your chain tight. And with a chain, it's easier to do that because it'll hold weight and tension compared to a rope. So take your chain, pull it tight, sit it on the ground, wait a few minutes, and a lot of times you'll have minnows in your trap already. A lot of times when I go, I'll set 4 or 5 traps with me and my family, and we'll set for a half hour or so, and we will catch several dozen minnows at a time. So this is how I do it, guys. It works great. These little coolers with a bubbler, they bubble up, they keep them alive. I have literally traveled across the state with 50 tilapia in that little cooler and kept them all alive and got them home. I mean, them things work great because they keep the water cool. Always use the water source from where you're at. Use chains instead of ropes because they're going to keep it strong and they're going to keep everything from falling out. And bucket their water, you'll have no problems. This is how I do it, and it's worked for dang near 40 years. So I hope this helps, and we'll see you guys in the next video.